newborn child a special interest group, equating them with citrus farmers. Well, you are human resources. That's how the globalists want you to think about everybody, so nobody sticks together. You know, here's the big news I didn't get to. And then we got the great John Rappaport coming up. Black Death plague ravaging Madagascar will get worse as antibiotics aren't working. And let's look at it. The dreaded Black Plague blighting Madagascar will get worse before it gets better if antibiotics aren't handed out quickly, a scientist told the Daily Star. And they go on to say the antibiotics aren't working. 2,000 have been struck down, 165 dead. The bubonic plague, the medieval disease is back, and it's drug resistant. I mean, we should be talking about that instead of Al Franken grabbing on women. And of course he did it, and of course he's horrible. And I'm not saying don't cover it. I'm just like, it's so weird to me. Guys that are trying to get women in this ham-fisted thing of like just mindlessly, first off, do you have a boyfriend or a husband? Oh, what are you interested in? Oh, let's tell some jokes. Let's have some fun. You don't get them just running up in the dark and grabbing them. And it's that arrested development that tells you everything you need to know about these guys. It's like Harvey Weinstein wants the women to watch him play with himself in a shower and rub on his big fat folds and clean his butt crack. He just wants a super sexy model to be grossed out by him. That's what turns him on. So remember, you ask, why do they want ugliness? Why do they want to destroy civilization? Why do they want Islamists coming into the country and doing all of this and cutting women's vaginas off and everything else? Because that's beautiful to a psychopath. I saw the article today. A canvas painted in ketchup that probably took 30 seconds sold for $50 million. Now, why is that? Because the big mega bankers want to give a tithe to a bucket of horse manure or crucifix in a brandy glass of urine to say, you're all starving to death, you all have nothing. I'm going to say ketchup on canvas is worth $50 million because it energetically, interdimensionally wastes so much money on something so simple, so stupid that a 3-year-old would do, that they're telling you what's beautiful and what's valuable and what's thought-provoking sells way more, than a Rembrandt or a Vincent van Gogh. And the CIA declassified that they do it to make you stupid. See? So they know what they're doing. I'm going to come in and introduce John Rappaport straight ahead, but that is a religious deal. Where some brokerage firm owner, a bunch of swindled money or whatever, goes and, or whoever buys some skull with semen on top of it, and it's all just supposed to be so beautiful. No, it's all a joke. All right, folks, John Rappaport is taking over here in just a few minutes. A lot of big news, obviously, he's going to be covering and decoding for us. But just first off, I didn't really plug last hour. I got so caught up in all the news I was covering. But Tommy Robinson was so busy promoting his new show and the great work he's doing. That's our job as a platform for other patriots, just so we can all synergistically move forward and tell the truth. That I didn't tell you about the new specials. We had 14 items for sale at 50% off. We had apparel. So technically there was like 70-something shirts, 60-something shirts that were at 50% off. So I guess more than that. But we had 14 different specials going, and they all got close to selling out or sold out. So we pulled all those. Super Mel Vitality, you name it. But we're extending the free shipping and have added it to some of the items that were not there, but that's going to end this weekend. Find those items at InfoWarsStore.com. Because I'll be honest with you, I got so busy working on news today and other things that I didn't look at the other stuff that they've put on special, but I've got a sheet here. Z-Shield, the heavy metal detoxifier that's close to selling out. That's amazing for you and your family. That's 50% off, and there's free shipping. Biome Defense is about to sell out, so we got to go back to regular price on that. That's a great Rolls-Royce level probiotic by Dr. Group. That's great, too. We've got Caveman Paleo Ultimate Formula with the bone broth, the turmeric, chaga mushroom. That is about to sell out. We got more coming in 2 weeks, so I'm doing 50% off on that through till Monday morning, and then it's got to go away because we got new specials. Vitamin Mineral Fusion, 50% off. Super Blue Fluoride-Free Toothpaste, 50% off. DNA Force back in stock, 25% off. All of it, store-wide free shipping. Secret 12, and it's got to end. 50% off with free shipping. So that's all at InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. Now, we've come out working with the largest high-quality organic producer of probiotics in the country. We've come out with the extremely affordable, and I've got the printout sheet right here, extremely affordable Floralife that is super high quality, everyday maintenance, 15 billion live probiotics for you at InfoWarsStore.com. No reviews yet, just came out. $26.75. At $39.95, it's a great deal, but it's $26.75. I mean, this is very expensive to make. We could do a probiotic for $2 a bottle. Let me tell you right now, we're putting $20 a bottle in just one of the new ones we've come out with. So Floralife, 33% off, InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. That's $15 billion. Then we've got, and by the way, the way they make it, you do it, the FDA, you got to put like double in it. So if they test it in a year, there's 50 billion or 15 billion, or whatever you're seeing on the label. It's more than that, but, you know, currently when you get it. But then if you ship it and it gets hot or something, you know, they've got a metric wherever, but, you know, put 100 billion in these babies. But you can't say, you know, technically we're going to say 50 billion on the bottle because, you know, they test it in a year, that's what'll be there. Live. Floralife Advanced Restoration, 50 billion live probiotics. And this is just such high quality. And we have the vegan style ones from Dr. Group. It's excellent as well. The probiotic Biome Defense, that's their folks that want vegan, Rolls-Royce quality. Really great the way he does it. So we've got just expanding our whole area. But here's what I'm really excited about. Carnivore. We have a small bottle and a big bottle, all very affordable, 33% off out of the gates. That's less than $20 for the small bottle. Because I want you to see how great it is. You don't digest most of the meat. You lose the enzymes as you get older. It's good for fat. It's good for eating up the fat. It's good for going after the carbohydrates. It's just, man, I used to eat a big steak and didn't feel tired. Ate one now, I get tired. Started taking this. Boom, ate a big ribeye. Boom, eat two of these, eat one of these. It's incredible. Digest it better. Aren't tired the next day. Don't get heartburn. Don't get a stomachache. And that's what the government even lets you say about this digestive enzyme. Better digestion, you know, all this stuff. So Carnivore is next level. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. It's the big umbrella site, but InfoWarsLife.com takes you right to it. Carnivore. And then, of course, we've got Floralife Advanced Restoration, 50 billion. And then we've got also, again, we've got the Everyday Maintenance Floralife. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And Z-Shield, never done this before, 50% off. But at these cup of discounts, we just sell a lot of this. So I'm believing in you, win-win. Get water filtration, air filtration, books, videos, T-shirts. We've got the new Don't Tread on Me Gadsden flag shirt that I think is the best we've ever produced. That's available. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. But just try Carnivore. Just try Floralife. Just try X2. Just try Secret 12. Just try Oxy Powder. Just try these great products and see what they do for you. But we do our research. We go out and private label the very best stuff out there, or we go out with top firms and develop the latest cutting-edge high quality. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is all something that you built. All right, let me hand over the baton for the next 50 minutes to John Rappaport of NoMoreFakeNews.com to decipher all the latest big developments. And then 48 minutes from now, Owen Shroyer in the War Room takes over. John Rappaport, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Alex. Great to be here as always, folks. Let's start off here with law and order. I'm sure that, like me, for many, many years, you've seen situations where people are arrested for heinous crimes. They're put on trial, they're convicted, and then they're out. Yeah, they're out. A while later, not very long, you read about them committing some other crime. Well, so-and-so was on parole, and he committed another heinous crime. But the media, of course, don't really look into this. They don't try to figure out or criticize the system, except when it goes overboard in the other direction. That is, somebody with 2 strikes against them steals a candy bar from a liquor store, and now they're in jail for 50 years. Yeah, we get that. We understand that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. But take Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, okay? Now, this guy that attacked Rand Paul on his lawn, first of all, if we believe what the press reports are telling us, he's out there cutting the grass or watering his lawn or whatever, Senator Paul. And this neighbor of his comes onto his property, sneaks onto his property. This is already criminal trespass, okay? Runs at him and attacks him, sneak attack from behind. No warning, nothing. Apparently. Breaks 6 ribs, and he's got fluid in his lungs. He's being charged in Kentucky with a 4th-degree misdemeanor. That's the current charge, which is the lowest form of misdemeanor on the books in the state of Kentucky. I mean, you know, it boggles the mind. Now, what are the punishments if convicted for a 4th-degree misdemeanor in Kentucky? A max of $500 fine and 1 year in jail max. Usually this gets, lowered. Now, we got this thing called moral outrage here. That's what's really underneath this in the mind, the heart, the soul of any honorable, honest person when they hear this. And we will discuss after the break, so stay with us here. Sense of moral outrage. People just become apathetic after a while. Well, this guy, took half somebody's arm off and a leg, and they got 6 months. What? Well, here's a situation in progress right now. Let's see what happens when all the information comes out. But this attacker who put Rand Paul in the hospital with 6 broken ribs and fluid in his lungs is now being charged with a 4th-degree misdemeanor. Top punishment for that would be a $500 fine and a year in jail. That's the lowest misdemeanor charge possible in the state of Kentucky. Why is that? Where does that come from? Who decided? And I'll tell you exactly what's happening. The whole point of destroying a country and therefore putting it into the globalist camp of helpless, chaotic, out of control nations, which is the bottom line here. Understand that. The whole point of the law is to pervert and destroy any semblance of sanity in the law. And one of the best ways to undermine that sanity is to take people who have committed serious felonies and say, oh no, No, this is just, this is just an everyday thing. I mean, people run onto each other's lawns all the time and smash each other in the back and put them in the hospital, right? I mean, it's just a little thing. It's certainly not a mass shooting. It's certainly not a bombing or somebody driving a car killing 100 people. So that's on the other side. The population is mesmerized by these mass incidents so that when something happens to an individual human being, oh, well, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, I mean, it's all right. So I put him in the hospital. I'll give him, I don't know, 3 months in jail. What? I can tell you there was a time many moons ago when that was not the case. And the reason was because the plethora of crimes and criminal activity was not nearly as great as it is now. So I understand when people rail against the legal system and say innocent people are being put in jail. Yeah, they are. And their assets are being forfeited. Yeah, illegally. Yeah, without even being charged for crime. But that's not what I'm talking about here. You don't just lump all of it together and say it's all insane and, no. Use your head. Specific serious crimes go unpunished. And I'll give you a couple more examples. I mean, let's take Monsanto, for example. Why not? Recent story that I wrote about up on No More Fake News about Monsanto destroying several million acres of U.S. farmland in the heartland. 900,000 acres in Arkansas and several million more in other states. There are now 25 official complaints that have been lodged against Monsanto. Why? What's happening? Well, their carcinogenic Roundup herbicide, it just hasn't been working. See, they promised farmers that if the farmers spent extraordinary amounts of money on these new genetically engineered food seeds, the crops would be resistant to Roundup, the herbicide. So when you spray Roundup all over these food crops, it would only kill the weeds. And therefore, the farmer wouldn't have to go out in the field and find the weeds and pull them up and pick them, which is what you do over and over again. Oh, well, this is marvelous and fantastic. Yeah, so that invaded America and other countries starting in the 1990s. But there was one catch. The Roundup wasn't working the way it was supposed to be working. Resistant super weeds were growing all over the place that were rendering farmers into a state where they couldn't any longer support their businesses. So what does Monsanto finally do after years and years of pretending this is not a problem? They introduce dicamba. Dicamba is an even more powerful herbicide. And this, they say, will destroy the weeds for sure, and you don't have to worry about the crops, except, you see, dicamba drifts from farm to farm when it's sprayed. It goes everywhere. And for those farmers who are not growing Monsanto GMO seeds, it's destroying their crops. It's injuring the land. What's going to be the result of this legal action against Monsanto? Dismissal? Well, we didn't really see how Monsanto was causing any harm. Or, okay, so $75 million fine and a promise that you're going to fix the situation. Oh, sure, we'll fix it. No. See, what I want to see, and I think anybody out there with any sense of moral outrage wants to see. Let's take a couple of the lying scum researchers who have been lying about the effects of these herbicides, take them out of the Monsanto lab, along with a few key executives who knew all along how much destruction Monsanto was causing, and put them in jail for, I don't know, 60 years. How about that? 60 years. No fine. Forget the fine. Just 60 years, okay? No chance of parole. Oh, baby. Do you think that might send a message to the other giant biotech firms like DuPont and Dow and so forth as to what's waiting for them if they keep lying about their polluting chemicals and the destruction of life? That's what I'm talking about when I say law and order. Keeping order by enforcing the law to the limit when it's correct and proper to do so. How about this? Devin Kelly, the Texas church shooter. We'll talk about him after the break here. But this is going to be interesting because this is a case of prior conviction of this mass murderer and what happened to him. John Rappaport, back in the fourth hour. Before we go on here, I want to talk about Devin Kelly, the Texas church shooter. It's just about taking the country apart at the seams, at the level of the legal system, and how by manipulating the legal system to put innocent people in prison and exonerate guilty people or give them little tiny sentences when they've committed heinous crimes. This is the globalist front on tearing the country apart. Believe me, this is a major operation, has been going on for a long time. So before I get to that with Devin Kelly and the Texas church shooting and what happened to him when he was in the military, which the mainstream press is not covering, of course, never does, never will. I just want to talk about the INFOWARS store and extended free shipping on all sales for great products. These are not just great deals, but they're great products. And we've had to end some of the specials, including 50% off all apparel and 50 off Super Male Vitality, because promotion has been so successful. But we're extending free shipping while supplies last for Biome Defense 50, which is the popular probiotic formula. Z Shield, dropping that by 50% plus free shipping, bringing you toxic metal and chemical defense support. Caveman True Paleo formula is back for 50% off with free shipping at the INFOWARS store. These products and specials are going on right now, as well as Vitamin Mineral Fusion 50 off with free shipping. Super Blue Fluoride-Free Mouthwash 50 off with free shipping. DNA Force 25 off with free shipping. Tremendous deals and tremendous products, and you support the INFOWARS. So go to INFOWARSstore.com for these great deals and great products that support the INFOWAR. Okay, Devin Kelly, the Texas church shooter, back in 2013, was brought up before a military court on charges of repeatedly beating his wife, kicking her, choking her, pointing a loaded gun at her, and fracturing the skull of his infant stepson with a blow that Army representatives said was intense enough to kill the infant stepson. Fractured his skull. Okay? You getting this now? These were the charges. Kelly said that he had indeed struck his infant stepson intentionally. The sentence, a year of confinement and demotion in rank. That's it. Jeez. That was 2013. Now, this is the military legal system, where you would expect much harsher sentences, but no. So with anything resembling, faintly resembling a just sentence, this guy never would have been around walking free on the street to show up at the Texas church and kill all those people. Never would have happened. Never would have happened. Understand? Get it? But because 1 year of confinement and demotion in rank, he was able to walk free and commit mass murder. How do these people who sit in juries, judges really, I guess you would say, depends on who is passing sentence in an individual case, how do they live with themselves? How do they sleep at night? The people in the armed forces who were involved with the prosecution of Devin Kelly, now knowing what he did and looking back, well, gee, let me go back and see what we did. Okay, so he almost killed his stepson, fractured his infant stepson's skull, beat his wife, pointed loaded gun at her a number of times. So let's see, what was the sentence? What do we give him? A year of confinement. You drive the people of a country crazy when you keep doing this. This is an intentional op, folks. This is not something that is, organically developed. Yes, because crime is so much more widespread, then it puts an increased burden on the legal system and the prison system and so on and so forth and whatever. But if you think that's a sufficient reason to let go of somebody who was basically a killer in 2013 named Devin Kelly and give him a year of confinement so that he could go on to kill numerous people in a mass shooting at a church, you better think again. You better think again. But this is the globalist plan. Overwhelm a country in various ways so that no proportional response seems to be possible. Waves and waves of criminality. Waves and waves of illegal immigration beyond the capacity of communities, people, governments to deal with it on many fronts. Waves and waves and waves of chemical destruction, as in a major top flight globalist corporation, Monsanto, and others. I've talked about the extent of pharmaceutical destruction in America and other countries on this show many times, as well as the recent opioid epidemic, which is really the single most chilling pharmaceutical event that I've seen in 20, 25 years of covering big pharma. To overwhelm a country to the point where it seems that no proportional response is possible. But you see, there is, as I indicated in the last segment. Throw a couple of these top flight Monsanto's executives in prison for 50 or 60 years with no parole and see what starts to happen. Take a guy like Devin Kelly in the military in 2013 and put him in jail for 40 or 50 years with no parole and see what ripple effects that creates in the military. the next time that somebody is accused correctly of actual rape. Oh, well, these things have no deterrent effect. Yes, they do. Sure they do. Once people begin to become confident that the legal system is correctly prosecuting people on correct charges and giving them proportional sentences as opposed to putting people in prison who don't belong there in the first place, everything changes. Everything changes. John Rappaport will be back after the break. Stay with us. John Rappaport here in the final segment of the fourth hour at INFOWARS. Just want to mention briefly a new product up at InfoWarsStore.com, Floral Life. And you need to look into this one. Good probiotic bacteria in the gut. That's what this formula is all about. 20 of the most potent strains on the market. Boost your gut health. So it's just come on. It's a new product. You need to check it out. Floral Life at InfoWarsStore.com. And keep in mind, when you say, here's my money, give me this product, and the product helps you become more healthy, InfoWars takes that money and puts it into the InfoWar. That's the whole transmission here. That's what it's all about. That's what it means. It doesn't mean anything else. All of the static and confusion and so forth and so on. If we were to believe our esteemed leaders, you know, we should immediately strike out the Constitution and say, well, it's time for socialism. Let's bring it on. Let's just, what are we doing now that isn't socialism so that we can correct that and change that? Let's see, we need a basic center for monitoring the production of all goods and services in the country. Yes, okay, that sounds, oh yes, that'll be utopia, absolutely utopia. And then we're going to have another center that decides how to distribute all the goods and services, who gets them, who eats, who doesn't eat, who has clean water, who doesn't, who lives, who dies, etc. Oh, yeah, sure, we need that because, of course, only the greatest people and the most humanitarian altruists will be manning these positions, and then we could create this wonderful, wonderful utopia. And if you think that that's just a science fiction fantasy, check your brain and look again, because there are covert means of bringing this about, such as collusion at the top and the highest levels of government with mega corporations so that they form a symbiotic relationship, which is essentially the real 21st century definition of socialism. That's what produces the abyss toward which many countries are heading. Some have already gone over the edge, like Sweden. Oh, we're living in a paradise. Everything is wonderful in Sweden. Everything is taken care of by the government. We are happy. Everybody's wonderful. Yeah, and gradually, year by year, decade by decade, new levels of passivity set in. People became more and more secure in their own minds, less apt to say what they really thought until they can't even think anymore, can't separate truth from fiction, can't criticize their own country, and then out of nowhere, as if by plan, and it was, giant wave after wave of migrants coming into the country that have no intention of fitting in or becoming Swedes. And among these many, many people, you have those who are committed to destruction and violence, and they commit the violent crimes. And then the government says, you must not speak ill of these people. You must ignore what's going on, essentially. And things get worse and worse and worse and worse in this socialist, globalist paradise called Sweden. You must not speak out. It is now a crime to speak out against what's happening there. A crime. And so more people say, well, gee, I guess I misinterpreted things. I thought that this was bad. You know, it's just like I was talking about before. The cognitive dissonance and moral outrage when people who commit gigantic, horrendous crimes go unpunished. There's a whole country where it's happening. And the socialist utopian government says, you may not speak out against this. And what people say, well, I guess I was wrong to think that these immigrants are doing bad things. I guess it must be misinterpreting. Something is the matter in my own mind. We, the Swedes, must have historically committed gigantic crimes, and this is our karmic retribution. Oh, yeah, that sounds like it could be the case. We're now talking about human robots and androids who are no longer able to think for themselves, even try to defend themselves, speak out against what's happening. The only thing they can accuse is their own mind. Where does that leave a person? Where does that leave a person? So this country that was always the model of peace and prosperity and the government will take care of everything now becomes a transcendent living nightmare. Nightmare. Unequipped and unable, apparently, to deal with what amounts to a foreign invasion. No, they're not wearing the uniforms of another country. There has been no declaration of war, but there is war over there. There is war every day. You've read about it because you understand that independent media brings you these stories. You've read about these stories here, for example, at INFOWARS. Private property destruction, theft, violent assault, rape. Where is the Swedish government coming to the fore and making a definitive statement about these crimes and their prosecution? And what the Swedish government, who has said we control the entire country and we're the good people that give the population all good things. So now we're going to deal with this. Where is that government now? That government is now surrendered until we see any evidence that they haven't. They've surrendered. They've surrendered because in the larger globalist scheme, many, many countries have to be put into a state of chaos. And this supposed socialist utopia in Sweden was really, as we see now, only a transitory phase in a much larger scheme to overwhelm countries, put them into chaos, wipe people's memories clean of any principled activity and conduct, and to honor in defense of their own country and their own person and their own family, and instead substitute some very hazy, cloudy, socialist, globalist gibberish that leads to further and further destruction until people say, well, it must be me, must be my own mind. It must be me that is misinterpreting all of these events. I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. I'm not experiencing what I'm experiencing. I'm just an idea factory, and other people are producing the ideas, and then I spew them out. We've seen these people all over the place. We've seen them in America. And as I've detailed here before, as we come down to the end of the segment here, if you read the works of Gary Allen, none dare call it conspiracy, Anthony Sutton, his 3-volume work on socialism as an elite plan, you know what's really happening. We're at the end of our time. John Rappaport, thank you very much.